Hello there, this is Kyle again. In the previous video, we talked about text editors and IDEs and what those are. In this video, we're going to be installing Visual Studio Code, or VS Code, as an IDE. This means not only just installing the program, but also the basic customizations that will make it able to work with Python code. As you might expect, we'll be starting in a web browser. However, also as you might expect, getting Visual Studio Code to work with Python does require that Python is already installed, and it would be probably a good idea to have restarted your computer since you installed Python before you begin. Now we begin. We open our web browser, and the first thing we're going to do is go to code.visualstudio.com. If you are searching for it, you can just search for Visual Studio Code, and it should be the top match. Be careful with this though, because if you were to search for just Visual Studio, you will find a completely different product. I did say in the previous video that Visual Studio Code and Visual Studio are different products, so be very careful to be looking at Visual Studio Code. And you should see a page that looks like this. And you'll see a download button, and it's detected our operating system. It says stable build. This is exactly what we want. So we'll just click that, let the download complete. You can review this page if you want while the time passes. And then we can run this installer. Most browsers allow you to do it right from the browser. Otherwise, you may need to find the file. And we can run the installer. So here we need to accept the agreement. You can read through it if you're that type of person. I'm not going to because I've already installed this before. I'm going to use mostly default features here. And I am just going to make sure that this add to path is clicked, just like we did with our Python install. Sometimes that's useful for when future functionality is added. I don't know if we're going to use that or not, but I'm going to. And then I'll just let the install complete. And then I'll run it, and we should be good to go. Well, partly good to go. As I said, there are a couple of steps we have to do to make sure that Python is properly supported in VS Code. So here we are. There's a few ways to do this next step. We need to install the Python extension to get this working. So I'll just go to File, and you can go to Preferences and Extensions, and that'll open up this Extensions tab. You can also just click on these four cubes to add extensions. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add Python. And you'll see the Python plugin for Visual Studio Code with probably nearly 59 million downloads. When something has this many downloads, it tends not to be a virus. Yes, this is something we can trust. Oh, it's already installed for me. That might be because of my prior install. So if you see an install button here, like these ones, you can reinstall this. So maybe I'll uninstall it and reinstall it just so you can see what that's like. Well, that was pretty painless, right? Okay, let's start a new Python code file. So I'll just go New File, and I'll do what we did before. Print Hello World. There we go. It doesn't look like much, does it? And I'll save that. It is possible to have started this file as a Python code file. Code is text, but I didn't do that. So instead I have to go in and just make sure that the file type is selected as Python. So I use that .py file extension here. You'll find Python a little more than halfway down. You should find Python. And I'll just call this Hello World, which technically I did before. So I guess I'll just overwrite that. There we go. You'll see the colors change when you do it. The IDE and a lot of IDEs actually regularly use color to indicate the different elements of a programming language. And so you'll see the meaning behind the color as we progress through coding this semester. So if you want to run things, there's a lot of different ways to do it. You can go to Run, in this case probably run without debugging. We're not doing any debugging, and it should just run. You'll see this terminal section open up, and you'll see the result of the code taking place, and there's our hello world. There's other ways that are even faster to run it. You can use Control F5, for example, or F5, and this play button up in the top right will also execute the Python file. So if I just click that, it runs. And so that's convenient. And there you go, it's working. If it's not working, probably the problem is that we didn't click Add Python 3 to Path when we were installing Python. So You might need to go back and do your Python install again and make sure that box is checked. That is the most likely problem. So in this video, we went through the process of installing Visual Studio Code, getting it to work with Python, and then proving that it worked with the Hello World program. In the next video, we will be talking about actual coding practices, starting with a demo that's going to emphasize why we document our code. Thanks.